Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I recently watched the newest iteration of Netflix's show Untold, which focuses on Johnny Football, or Johnny Manziel. Now, for those of you that don't know, Johnny Manziel was an electric college quarterback back in 2012 and 2013 for Texas A&M University, where I just so happened to have gone. And in this little mini documentary, it covers Manziel mania, his downward spiral, all of that stuff that a lot of us know, while also going a bit more in depth on what was going on in his mind from the man himself, Johnny Manziel. Now, I went to A&M right after Johnny Manziel. His last season was in 2013. My first semester was in 2014, so I just missed him, but I just can't forget how impactful that period of time was. I'm a big college football guy, and I remember when Johnny Manziel beat Alabama, and I'd be lying if I said he didn't put Texas A&M on the map for me, and I bet there's a lot of people that went to A&M that could probably say the same thing, that whenever they saw Johnny Manziel running around out there, they thought, man, I want to go to that school. So being an Aggie, I thought that this was a good opportunity to kind of wear my identity on my sleeve and talk about some of my biggest takeaways from watching this documentary, because he is a very controversial figure for alumni. You know, some people absolutely love Johnny Manziel. Everything that he's done for the university is undeniable. You know, its growth is a lot of it is attributed to him, but then also the way that he's carried himself makes him a controversial figure, and is probably the reason why he doesn't have a statue there right now. We have two Heisman winners. One of them has a statue, the other one doesn't. So I'm just going to do 5 takeaways here, starting with just the documentary structure on the whole. I wish that it was longer and had gone more in depth. I feel like this was better served as a mini-series over a documentary that was about 70-ish minutes. You know, I feel like Johnny Manziel is a big enough celebrity and is well known enough that you could have done like a 4-part mini-series here, 1-hour episodes each, where we could have just gone more in depth here, where, you know, one episode we're talking about his come up, you know, his high school career at Kerrville-Tivy. You know, in another episode we talk about him going and choosing A&M, kind of go into that decision-making process for him, and also his freshman year whenever he was actually arrested on Northgate, which is like the bar district at A&M. We talk about Heisman year, you know, just Manziel mania, him becoming a major celebrity, kind of starting that downward spiral for him. His troubles of his second year, getting drafted, and the whole draft process, that part was very interesting for me. And then we talk about his downfall with the Cleveland Browns and him becoming one of the biggest draft busts in history. I feel like there was just a lot of opportunity there to go more in depth on someone that everyone seemingly knows, but just get more details there, you know, right? That's what documentaries are there for. Something that I love about The Last Dance is we got tons of interviews from people on all different sides, and Untold Johnny Football has a lot of those guys, but I would have loved to have heard from his teammates, his high school teammates, maybe some more of his coaches. They do interview Cliff Kingsbury, who was the offensive coordinator at A&M. I would have loved to have seen interviews from some of his Cleveland Browns teammates or coaches. I feel like if we just make it longer, make it an actual miniseries, people would tune in, and we could have gone more in depth there. But then my second takeaway is I wish that they had waited longer to do this so we could have caught Johnny Manziel later in life. Because I'm just going to keep comparing this to The Last Dance. I know that's not really fair. That's one of the best miniseries ever. But something that I liked about The Last Dance is it's been decades since that happened. You know, people change over time, and you can see that through the interviews that we have with the older players of The Last Dance. But Johnny Manziel, you know, while his Heisman year was 10 years ago, he's still fairly fresh from everything that he went through, and I believe he's 31 years old. He's still young, and I would have loved to see what a 40-year-old Johnny Manziel would have to say, or even 50-year-old, whenever he's had, you know, a few decades to grow and develop as a person and isn't really worried about him being in the limelight, because he still kind of seems like he has a lot of room to grow as a person in just how he approached some of these conversations here. Plus, it could have given us more of an arc, too, in seeing whatever he's going to be doing in 10, 20 years from now, seeing how all of this impacted him later on in life. Who knows, maybe we are going to get that at some point. This is just a 72-minute documentary, so, you know, there's still plenty of room here for maybe an HBO or Netflix in the future to do a 5-6 part miniseries about Johnny Manziel. I do think that he's a name that people are going to remember for a while, so maybe it's still possible. But yeah, I wish for the first Johnny Manziel documentary to come out, it would have had more time between the actual events to the documentary. And then my third takeaway, I guess for a bullet point standpoint, I would label this as lack of surprises. I mean, I'm an Aggie, so I don't know. I have been keeping up with Johnny Manziel a whole lot, and really everything that he said in there about watching zero film, not wanting to be with the Browns, his trip to Las Vegas during the regular season the night before a game is all stuff that I knew. Really, if you keep up with sports, you kind of knew about that. But you hear a lot of rumors on Texas A&M's campus about him, and there is nothing really shocking. It's just very, very sad to me, the promise that he had. You know, to me, he's the best college athlete we've ever seen. At least in my lifetime. To me, it's like Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, Joe Burrow. And then maybe that 1 year from Cam Newton at Auburn where he was just unstoppable. To have a guy have so much promise and then just flush it down the toilet, really, not put in the work. It's stuff that we've all heard before, but seeing him talk about it and confirm all of these things that we've heard about is really sad. And then my fourth takeaway is just Johnny was so good at football. Seeing those highlights was so much fun. There were so many times whenever I was studying in college where on the major projector, I would just put on like Johnny Manziel highlights for 40 minutes. He was just so dang good in college. If you haven't yet, just look up his highlight reel. This guy was so electric. It was so fun watching all of those highlights again, but in HD, on the big screen, on Netflix, seeing it done well, hearing the commentary from his coach, some of the guys from Texags, Johnny himself on just how he approached the game at the time. It was just so much fun reliving the glory. And while I was very disappointed in some of the stuff that was featured in the documentary, I can't deny I was riveted watching some of these highlights again. And then my last sort of bullet point is this documentary really reaffirmed my conflicting feelings towards Johnny Manziel. I know a lot of my classmates that absolutely love Johnny. I know a lot of them that absolutely hate him. For me, I kind of fall in the middle where I understand the role that he played at A&M. He's the reason why Kyle Field grew to be what it was, and the fact that A&M is able to get some of the recruits that they get. But also, man, as someone who won the Heisman and represents the university, it's just so disappointing to me how he's handled it all. But you know, I'm no patron saint. I understand that people make mistakes and everyone's on their own journey in life. So I by no means think Johnny Manziel is like a terrible person, but I really feel like as a representative of the university, I wish that he would take more of a step forward with his progression in life and understand just how important he is to a lot of people. It seems like he understands that better now than he did 10 years ago. But it seems like, again, he has a lot of room to grow. I personally have conflicting feelings about him. I do hope that with time, he can continue to grow and develop, and eventually he gets a statue outside of Kyle Field. But those are my 5 takeaways as an Aggie toward Untold Johnny football. Have you seen the documentary? Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you a fellow Aggie? Let me know who you are down below. And if you liked this video, be sure to leave a like here and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.